Hello children, I hope you are all fine and safe. So today you are here to learn the subject biology. In that we are going to start a new unit called Biomolecules. What is it? Biomolecules. So you know what is bio. Bio means living. So it is something about the molecules in the living organisms. So who are the living organisms? The plants, animals, human beings, all are the living organisms. So in those living organisms, what are the molecules present? So what is a molecule? Molecule are the atoms. And atoms together form a molecule. So what are the molecules present inside the plants? What are the molecules present inside the animals, in human beings? So about all those things only we are going to see in this video. So let me start the lesson. So first is we are going to see the four basic biomolecules. So what are the four biomolecules? They are carbohydrates, lipids, proteins and nucleic acids. So you know what is a carbohydrate. Carbohydrate is a sugar source. So we get carbohydrates in rice, chapati and various food products. And next is lipids. Lipids are nothing but the fat products. So all the fat materials are the lipids. And proteins, you know, it is the body building block. So to enhance the body, it is very good for the muscles also. For all those things, the protein is used, and you know where you get. We get from egg, milk and milk. Next is nucleic acid. So nucleic acid is nothing but it is present in the RNA and DNA of the living organism. So inside the cell, the genetic material will be present. So in that, the nucleic acid is present. So these are the four basic molecules, biomolecules. Okay. So next they have given a definition on biomolecules. Carbon compounds in living tissues are called biomolecules. So all the carbon related molecules which is present inside the living tissues. So living tissues are nothing but the plants, animals and human beings. So inside that living, what type of carbon compound is present? So those are called as what? Biomolecules. Okay. So we are moving on to the next topic, that is primary and secondary metabolites. So we undergo various metabolic activities. So what are the metabolic activities? For example, if you take human beings, respiration. We are breathing in and breathing out. That is one metabolic activity. You are eating. It is getting digested. That is one metabolic activity. In plants, if you take things, photosynthesis is taking place. The plant is preparing its own food. So that is one metabolic activity. So usually what happens after any metabolic activity, we get an output and a product. That is nothing but the metabolites. So after eating, it is getting digested. Finally what happens? You get the nutrients and it is used by your body. So all these nutrients that is being produced is nothing but metabolites. Okay. So these are called as metabolites. So there are two types of metabolites, that is primary and secondary metabolites. So let's see what is primary and what is secondary metabolites. So compounds like sugars, amino acids, fats and oils. So I already told you, sugars means the carbohydrate. So that is called as sugars. And amino acids are nothing but the protein. And fat and oil. So all these compounds, if it is present inside the living tissues after any metabolic activity, means they are called as primary metabolites. And what is secondary metabolites? So in a living organism, other than the primary metabolites, there are thousands of compounds present. So those are called as secondary metabolites. So other than the primary metabolites, there are thousands of compounds in plant and fungal cells. It may be any cells. So they are called as secondary metabolites. So for example, alkaloids, flavonoids, rubber, essential oil, the aromatic oil that we get. So all these are secondary metabolites. So rubber, the latex that they take and use for rubbers, making tires, all those things are nothing but secondary metabolites. Alkaloids and flavonoids are the chemical compounds that is secreted by the plants. So these are the major difference between primary and secondary metabolites. If you take primary metabolites means they are the normal physiological process. That is, I told you, after any metabolic activity is taking place, any metabolic action is taking place, an output is given. So that is primary metabolite. But here the secondary metabolite, what happens? They will give economic importance. It is used by the human. So we will use rubber, and alkaloids and flavonoids are used in the food products, and we use essential oils for getting aromatic aroma. So for all those things we use the secondary metabolite. So it gives economic importance for the welfare of the human being. So that is secondary metabolite. Whereas primary metabolite, it is just after a metabolic activity, a product is produced and that is used by the plant or animal or whatever. So these are the secondary and primary metabolites. So I will give you a short recap from the first. So today's topic is biomolecules. And what is bio? Bio means living, molecules means when atoms together form a molecule. So the four major biomolecules are carbohydrates, lipids, proteins and nucleic acid. So carbon compounds in living tissues are called as biomolecules. And after that we saw about primary and secondary metabolites. So compounds like sugar, amino acid, fats and oils are called as primary metabolites. So other than these primary metabolites, there are other thousands of compounds and they are called as secondary metabolites. Example, alkaloids, flavonoids and rubber. So primary metabolites means they will happen after a physiological process in the body, the output is primary metabolite, whereas secondary metabolite, it gives economic importance for the welfare of the human.
Now let us see the difference between primary and secondary metabolites. So I have already explained you about what is a primary metabolite and what is a secondary metabolite, and we have seen the examples also. So let us see the difference between the primary and secondary metabolites. So first is primary metabolites perform physiological functions in the body like intrinsic functions. So as I already told you, on the day-to-day activities, on the metabolic activities, the physiological activities, the output is called as the metabolite, primary metabolite. So after food is being digested in the body, what happens? We get nutrients. That is a metabolite. So that is a primary metabolite. Whereas if you see in this side, secondary metabolites are derivatives of primary metabolites. So from this primary metabolites, the secondary metabolites is being taken. It has been extracted. So next is directly involved in the growth, development and reproduction. So this primary metabolite is used for the growth of the organism, for the development of it and for the reproduction also. Secondary metabolite, it plays the ecological functions. So it gives economic importance. It is a secondary functional metabolite. It is an extra functioning of the plant. So those are called as secondary metabolites. Next is it is formed during the growth phase due to energy metabolism. So during the growth phase, that is from the young plant to a fully grown tree, it is being growing, it is being in the growing stage, from a baby to an adult. So that is a growing stage. So on this growing stage only the primary metabolites will be secreted. Whereas if you see on this side, it is formed in the stationary phase of growth. Stationary phase means after it has been fully grown, after the plant has been fully grown, or after the human being has been reached the matured stage. So after the organism has got matured, there is no growth phase, so it will be in stationary phase. So during that time only the secondary metabolites has been secreted. So primary metabolites are produced in large quantities and extraction, taking out the the molecule from the plant is very easy. That is called as extraction. So produced in large quantities and extraction is very easy, whereas on this side the secondary metabolites are produced at very small quantities and it is very difficult to extract, take the component from the plant. And primary metabolites are same in all the plants. So what are the primary metabolites? The oils, fats, sugars. So it is all same in all the plants. Whereas if you see on secondary metabolites, it is very unique. Only in some plants we get the essential oils. Only in some plants we get the alkaloids. Only in some plants we get the flavonoids. So it differs from species to species. Next is a part of the basic molecular structure of an organism. So primary metabolite is the major part. It is a main part of the organism. It has to be there. Whereas if you see in secondary metabolite, this is an extra functioning of the organism. So it is not a part of the molecular structure of the organism. So examples of primary metabolites are ethanol, lactic acid, nucleotides and vitamins. So these are the examples of primary metabolites. And secondary metabolites is pigments, antibiotics and drugs. So these are the examples of the secondary metabolites.
The next topic that we are going to see is bio-macromolecules. So bio means living. Macro means something which is a bigger size. Molecules means you know. So we are going to study about a living molecule which is in a larger size. So that is why we call them as bio-macromolecules. So these bio-macromolecules, they are acid insoluble fraction. So acid insoluble fraction means they do not get dissolved in acid solution. So acid insoluble fractions are bio-macromolecules. And there are 4 such components which are acid insoluble fraction, and they are proteins, nucleic acids, polysaccharides and lipids. Proteins, nucleic acid, polysaccharide and lipids. So these are the 4 components which are acid insoluble fraction. So next, except lipids. So leave the lipids alone. So other 3 components, the molecular weight of the bio-macromolecule is 1000 daltons. So except lipids, the other components, it weighs about 10,000 daltons. That is a very huge size. So that is why it is called as bio-macromolecules. And next is micromolecules. Micromolecules means it weighs less than 1000 daltons. It is a lesser weight, but compared to macro, it is a very lesser weight. And macromolecules, as I already told you, all the acid insoluble fractions are the macromolecules. So I will give you a short recap from the first about the bio-macromolecules. Acid insoluble fraction is a bio-macromolecule, and there are 4 types of organic compounds like acid insoluble fraction. They are protein, nucleic acid, polysaccharides and lipids. And except liquids, the molecular weight of bio-macromolecule is about 10,000 daltons. Micromolecules, they weigh less than 1000 dalton. Macromolecules are acid insoluble fraction.
Now I am going to explain you about the difference between micromolecules and macromolecules. So micro, from the name itself we can tell that it is very small in size. And macromolecules, so macro means large in size. So micromolecules will have very low molecular weight, whereas macromolecules are very huge, so obviously it will have very high molecular weight. and the structure of micromolecules is very simple, and macromolecule structure is very complex. And micromolecules, it is highly soluble in intracellular fluid. So the liquid present inside the cell is called as intracellular fluid. So these micromolecules will be soluble with those fluid. Whereas if you see macromolecules, it is in a colloidal state. It is not in liquid state. It is in colloidal state. That is like a jelly consistency. So since it is in that stage, it is not soluble in intracellular fluid. So it occurs in colloidal state, being insoluble in intracellular fluid. So examples of micromolecules are inorganic molecules, water, mineral salts and gases. Organic are amino acids, sugars, lipids and nucleotides. So I have explained you about what each of them is. What is amino acid? Amino acid is protein, sugars are carbohydrates, lipids are fats and nucleotides are present in the RNA and DNA. Next is, these include only organic polysaccharides. That is, it is a very complex structure. So it has many elements joined together to form a macromolecule, and it is present only in organic state. That is, it is only made up of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Now we are going to see about the protein molecules in detail. So protein was first discovered by Mulder, and later on Berzelius. So he gave the catalytic concept, that is what the protein molecule is doing, so what type of function it is doing, and he gave the word protein. So protein means first rank, so something which is first, taking place first. So he gave the name it as protein, and after that protein holds the first place in body, so that is why he gave the name as protein. And protein consists of maximum of carbon and then oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen and sulfur. So the maximum quantity is carbon and minimum is sulfur, so that is why it is given. And after that, protein are macromolecules, so they are very huge molecules and they are a combination of many amino acids together form a protein. These are some of the sources of proteins. So you can see beef, salmon, fish, chicken, shrimp, tofu, cheese, egg, almonds, peas, milk, soybean, fried egg, bacon, meat, yogurt. So there are also other components like pulses and all the milk products. So everything has protein and it is used for the bodybuilding of the human body. Proteins are polypeptides, so they have many peptide bonds and it is consists of many molecules. So they are a linear chain of amino acids linked by peptide bonds. So many amino acids are there and it is linked by peptide bonds. So each protein is a polymer of amino acids. So I have already told you, protein means it is a combination of many amino acids. So there are 20 essential amino acids. Some of the examples are given: alanine, cysteine, proline, tryptophan, lysine. So these are some of the essential amino acids. There are 20 there, and it is a heteropolymer. Different types of amino acids are linked together. It is not a homopolymer. So same type of amino acids are not present. Different types of amino acids are joined together. So that is why these dietary proteins are the source of essential amino acids. So for getting the required protein for a diet, it is obtained from these essential amino acids only. proteins may be essential or non-essential. So those 20 amino acids are essential. So other than there are other proteins or amino acids which are non-essential also. So the later are those which our body can make. So the non-essential proteins are those which the body can make, can produce, whereas the other essential amino acids are, it cannot be produced in our body, it has to be taken through food or from our diet. And next is proteins carry many different functions. They transport nutrients from with the help of a cell membrane from cell to cell. For the nutrients to transport, these proteins will help, and they help to fight against infectious microorganisms. And some proteins are hormones, and some proteins are also enzymes for chemical reactions in our body. And collagen, it is the most abundant protein in the animal world. So if you take all the animals, protein means this collagen is most abundant. And ribulose biphosphate carboxylase oxygenase, rubisco, it is the most abundant protein in the whole earth itself. The most abundant protein source is this rubisco only.
So the next topic is structure of proteins. So we have already seen about what is a protein and what is the source of protein. So you know, protein means it is a combination of many amino acids. There are 20 types of essential amino acids, and it is a combination of that only the protein is. So next is we are going to see the structure. How is the protein structure being formed? So as I already told you, it is a mixed polymer of amino acids, and there are 4 levels in it. Primary structure, secondary structure, tertiary structure and quaternary structure. So these are the 4 levels of protein.
Now I am going to tell you the difference between homopolymer and heteropolymer. So polymer means many molecules. So homo means same. So homopolymer is a type of polymer that is made up of identical monomers. So the component will be same and it will be repeated many times. So that is called as homopolymer. For example, we can take alanine. So that is one amino acid. So an alanine is connected many times in a linear chain, then we can tell them it as homopolymer. Whereas hetero means different. So heteropolymer is a type of polymer that is made up of 2 or more different types of monomers. So that is called as heteropolymer. A single type of monomer is used for the production of homopolymers. Like I already told you, only one type of monomer will be present, but here more than one type of monomer is present and is used for the production of heteropolymers.
I already told you about the structure of proteins, the 4 levels. So now we are going to see the meaning of it. Okay, so first is primary protein. So primary protein means the newly synthesized protein. The newly produced proteins are called as primary proteins. Next is secondary protein. Secondary protein means helically coiled proteins. So helically means like a spring shape. Like a spring shape. So it will be curvy like this. So like a rope. So when it is coiled together, we can tell it as a secondary protein. Next is tertiary protein. So highly folded proteins are called as tertiary protein. So there will be many foldings, there will be many curves. So those are called as tertiary proteins. And last is quaternary proteins. Those are globular, that is round shaped proteins are known as quaternary proteins. So 2 or more molecules of tertiary proteins, they join together to form quaternary molecule. So what happens is tertiary proteins will join together to form functions, that is what is the uses of protein. So where it is being found. So first is abundant protein in the organic world, the whole world itself, which is the highest protein found is Rubisco, and I have already told you about Rubisco. And next is abundant protein in human body. In our human body, which is the highest protein, the collagen. And in leather, we can find pure collagen and oisin. This is found in bone collagen. And collagen means tensile strength to connective tissue, tendons and bones. So these collagen only gives strength to the joints, bones and all the connective tissues which connect one another. So for all those things, this collagen is only used. And next is keratin. Keratin is a protective structure in skin, hair, scales of the fishes. So that we can find the keratin. So I have listed some of the functions of protein. So there are other functions in your book. Just go have a look and we will discuss it in the Zoom class. Okay. So now I will give you a short recap from the first. We discussed about the structure of protein. Primary protein means purely synthesized protein. Secondary protein means helically shaped, like a curved spring shape. Helically coiled protein. And tertiary means highly folded. Many foldings will be there. And quaternary proteins means it is in globular structure. And two or more molecules of tertiary protein join together to form quaternary protein. Then we saw about functions of protein. Abundant protein in organic world is Rubisco, and abundant protein in human body is collagen. So leather will have the pure collagen, and oisin, this is found in bone collagen. These are the name of the protein molecule. Collagen means the tensile strength for connective tissue, tendons and bones. And next is keratin, means it is a protective structure for skin, hair and scales. So till this we have completed the protein. So in the next class we will see about carbohydrates, its structure, its function, all those things in detail. So till this we will stop for today's class. So just go through the video. If you have any doubts, we will discuss in the Zoom class. Just make a note of all your doubts and we will discuss it. And PDF will be given as usual in your WhatsApp group. So try to copy all those in your classwork notes. Write it very neatly without any spelling mistake and submit the notebooks on the given day. Thank you children. Have a nice day.